There's a war happening right now, but I'm not talking about the ones that you see on news channels that are perhaps thousands of miles away. It's not a war for land or money. It's not a war for power in the way that you've been taught to see it. It's a silent war, and the battlefield is in your mind. You see, for hundreds of years, kings and empires have fought to control land. Territory was the currency of power. But today that battlefield has shifted. A new frontier is emerging, an invisible one, yet vastly more powerful. The domain of the mind. Because the one who controls what you think controls what you become. Right now, we're witnessing an intellectual power grab, a war over consciousness itself. Those who control the flow of information and perception wield greater influence than armies ever could. So that begs the question, are you the sovereign ruler of your own mind, or are you unknowingly being colonized by external forces? We exist in an organic network of thought transmission. It's an invisible grid of ideas, narratives, beliefs, but most people don't even realize that they're plugged in. A trend spreads, someone else speaks on socials, somebody picks it up, reposts, forwards. The story morphs and shifts and multiplies. A whisper becomes a wave, and before you know it, you've got an endless echo chamber of thoughts and narratives, many of which aren't your own. You're riding a current that you never chose in the first place. You see, your mind is like a radio, receiving signals from every direction. But the question you need to ask yourself is, who turns the dial? Who is tuning the frequency of your reality? Without conscious awareness, you simply become a passenger on this train, absorbing and reacting in realities that just don't align with your highest path. But there is a way to break free. The most powerful ability you possess is mental focus. Your attention is your energy. Where you focus it determines the reality that you participate in. What you focus on expands. What you ignore dissolves. And yet, most people hand over their attention without a second thought, spending it on distractions, filling their consciousness with just pure noise. But not you, not anymore. You see, a sovereign mind is not one that blindly consumes all information, nor is it one that ignores the world. It's a mind that simply chooses what enters its domain. So, how do you master this level of mental sovereignty? You've got to install a kind of mental filtration system. It's a way to consciously choose what enters your awareness and what doesn't. So start with some simple self-questioning. Right now, what am I consuming? Does this information empower me or does it distract me? Does it elevate my mind or does it distract me from my true path? Then you need to develop an inner switch that lets you filter what you engage with. See the information, hear the words, but only let truth enter. Ultimately, you need to take ownership of your thought architecture. And you can check out one of my previous videos on thought forms for more info on this. But essentially, your mind is prime real estate, worth billions, literally. The question is, who owns the land and who's building on it? Are your beliefs your own? Or are they echoes of voices you've never thought to question? Unconscious programming and external forces try to claim space in your consciousness every single day. But a sovereign mind chooses its own tenets. We don't have squatters here. Perception is a programmable interface. You can recode your mental operating system. Refuse to be emotionally hijacked by external entities. Become conscious of the energy behind information, hidden motives in adverts and social narratives. Question it all. The greatest form of power isn't ruling land, it's ruling perception. And I've said it already, but it's worth repeating. There is an attempt to colonize your consciousness, to install narratives and emotional triggers that just don't belong to you. But here's the truth from my perspective: reality is not happening to you, reality is responding to you. Your thoughts aren't just passive reflections of the world, they are the architects of your experience. The minute you reclaim your mental sovereignty, the minute you decide what enters your consciousness, you stop being a passenger and you start being the master of your reality. Because the greatest power in the universe isn't to own land or hoard wealth or control people, it's your own mind. And once you master that, everything else bends to your will. The future belongs to those who take ownership of their minds. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, I hope this resonated. And if you're vibing with this sort of content, please do subscribe and drop a like or a comment below. Cheers.